Donald Trump's new press secretary, or as I like to call her, his chief propagandist, just had one of the most unhinged press conferences I've ever seen. She was asked about Trump's ties to Jeffrey Epstein, whether Trump was ever an FBI informant and somehow managed to melt down on live TV. A reporter asks the obvious, was Trump really an FBI informant, like Speaker Mike Johnson suggested? Caroline Leavitt instantly jumps into denial mode, insisting that's not true.
You know, Mike Johnson, he came out and said that the president was an FBI informant. Do you know what he meant by that, if it's not true?
I can affirm that is not true. I think the speaker was referring to the fact that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago property for reasons the president has already discussed.
Trump just kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, because that explains everything, right? Here's the issue. If Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, a Trump ally, is out there suggesting Trump was an FBI informant, why does Caroline have no explanation? Either Johnson is lying or Trump world can't keep their story straight. Reporters ask about Trump's signature popping up in Epstein's estate documents, including a birthday card. Caroline insists it's all fake. That's not Trump's signature. He didn't write it. It's a forgery.
You addressed the crime of Irina Zurika, and the president has done a lot to deliver justice for victims of crimes like that horrific stabbing. And the Epstein files are back in the news because a lot of Americans feel that that Jeffrey Epstein's victims never got justice. Does the president care about these victims? Do you think he can does he want to deliver more justice for them, and is he willing to meet with them?
The president cares about victims of all crimes, and that's why Republicans in the Trump Department of Justice have done more in terms of transparency when it comes to the Epstein case than any prior administration. And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the president of the United States. We have seen this time and time again. Ro Khanna and all of these other Democrats, they could have cared about those victims 4 years ago when Joe Biden was in office. They could have pushed for transparency then. Unfortunately, the Democrats are using victims as political pawns to try to smear and to push a hoax against the president of the United States. And I will get you numbers on the amount of child predators that this administration and this FBI and this Department of Justice have locked up under President Trump's leadership. We have done more than any president to protect victims of crime, especially disgusting, heinous sexual crimes. And that includes the deportation of illegal aliens who are perpetrating these crimes against innocent victims in our country right now today. And that remains a top priority for this administration.
If you said he didn't sign the birthday card, he didn't do this, he also didn't do the check, those were in documents from the estate. So what is the working theory as to why he's in them?
The president has one of the most famous signatures in the world, and he has for many, many years. You know that, Maggie, you've covered him for a long time, long before he assumed this office when he was a businessman in New York. The president did not write that letter. He did not sign those documents. He maintains that position, and that position will be argued in court by his lawyers. The president is very confident he is going to win this case.
Okay, but if these documents are part of Epstein's official estate records, how exactly did a forgery slip in there? Caroline never answers. She just pivots to, it's all a Democrat hoax to smear the president. That's the go-to Trump world defense when caught. Scream hoax. Russia hoax, impeachment hoax, documents hoax, now Epstein hoax. But here's the reality. These records don't come from Democrats. They come from the Epstein estate itself. So are we supposed to believe Epstein, 20 years ago, was plotting a long-term frame-up because he knew Donald Trump might someday become president? It's laughable. And then a reporter brings up a document showing Epstein holding a giant check, allegedly from Trump, for $22,000, described as payment for a fully depreciated woman.
Caroline, one of the other documents released by the House Oversight Committee contained a photo of Jeffrey Epstein holding an oversized check that was made out to him in the check from the president for $22,000 for a fully depreciated woman. I wondered if the president has any recollection of that, or what you guys make of that photo that was included in those documents.
Did you see the signature on that check? It is not Donald Trump's signature. It is absolutely not. The president did not sign that check.
But does he recognize the woman?
No.
Notice the pattern here? Every time Trump's name shows up in Epstein's orbit, suddenly it's a forgery. The birthday card? Fake. The check? It's the same gaslighting we've seen for years. Next up, and this one is just jaw-dropping, Trump recently said, if a man has a little fight with the wife, they say it's a crime. A reporter asked Caroline what he meant. Her answer was that he wasn't talking about real crimes. He was just pointing out that things are exaggerated to make him look bad.
Yesterday, the president spoke about DC crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes. That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija. What the president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime to undermine the great work that the federal task force is doing to reduce crime in Washington, D.C. And I think the president has every reason to believe that, given the efforts of many reporters in this room who actively seek to undermine the president and what he's doing in our nation's capital. We all know that deep inside you all agree with this because you all live here, and I'm sure you are very grateful for the administration's efforts to make the city, which we all reside in, much safer for ourselves and our families.
So let's be clear. Trump downplayed domestic violence. His press secretary defended it by saying the media makes things up. This is not normal. Then we got the economic spin. With tariffs driving up prices and jobs data looking grim, reporters asked if Trump is worried about a recession. Caroline's answer? She claimed, "This is the golden age. Inflation is beaten. Everything is going great."
We have these revised jobs numbers. Is the president concerned at all that price spikes, stemming from his tariffs through the end of the year might actually be driving the country towards a depression or a recession? What I'm asking is he committed to these policies now that we know how faulty the jobs data was?
The president is committed to his policies because his policies are working, Christian. And there have been a lot of people fear-mongering about inflation in this room, but it just has not come to fruition. On a monthly basis, CPI inflation has now come in at or below the market's expectation for 6 consecutive months, every month that President Trump has been in office. Overall, inflation has run at a 1.9% average pace in the president's first 6 months in office. I would have told all of you that in January, you would not have believed me, but those are the facts and those are the numbers.
Tell that to the millions of Americans paying higher prices because of Trump's trade wars. Tell that to families struggling with rent, food, and healthcare. Then came one of the most disturbing parts of the briefing. Caroline confirmed that Israel, with U.S. backing, bombed a residential area in Doha, Qatar, a sovereign ally nation. She admitted, yes, it was regrettable, but Hamas was there, so it was necessary.
I have a statement to read for all of you with respect to the Israeli strike in Doha, and here it is. This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack.
Think about how insane this is. Trump's team is openly admitting to supporting a strike inside the capital of a U.S. ally in a residential neighborhood. That is reckless foreign policy. This is not a government that's protecting Americans. This is a propaganda machine trying to cover up corruption, abuse, and failure at every level. And the cracks are showing. If this is the so-called golden age, then America deserves better.